to give people a chance. And then we'll have a 5-minute countdown. What's up, everybody? Welcome to our first episode ever of doing Let's Talk Transit. I thought of this maybe a month or so ago with doing my other YouTube channel with live broadcasting and doing that. So I thought, what if we did a transit kind of channel and we just all got together as bus drivers and come together and just talk about buses. So that's what we're doing tonight. And so if this is your first time, I'm going to ask you to share this video. Don't forget to like, comment. You can ask us questions. There's a chat box there. We will look at your questions, and we want to answer your questions as well. So make sure that you just leave a comment. And if you're not subscribed to this channel already, subscribe to the channel tonight. So, well, I've got a couple of guests here with me, and these two have been very instrumental of me getting kind of back into the bus thing, buying buses and things like that. And I've always watched both of them, and I think you will enjoy them. So I'm going to bring them on. So we have Maddie or Madeline. She's here. And then we got the one and only Darren's. Darren's is in the house. How are you,
Hey,
Darren's? Good. I'm going to turn y'all's volume up a little bit. And you people out there, let me know if y'all need more volume or not. We're just going to experiment with this. This is our first time. So we'll work with that. This is from Aviator the Wolf. I love how in my own home, in a Gilly, what is that? Getting the notif. Oh, well, I'm glad you like getting the notification. So great. So hey, so we're just gonna just talk, ask questions, and get to know all of us here. But first, I just want to just let them introduce themselves to you, and they could tell you who they are, where they're from, and what they do. But some of them work in the transit industry, and they may not be able to share all the information about their employer. So just be mindful of that. So, Maddie, you take it away. Kind of introduce yourself. Tell us how long you've been doing what you do.
Sure. So my name is Madeline or Maddie, whichever one works. I have been driving buses for 5 years now. I started as a bus driver for the university that I was attending at the time. And the majority of drivers for that university are students. So it was a pretty unique opportunity to get to go to school and get paid to get my CDL. It was really great. So I started as a bus driver. I became a dispatcher after that and then a trainer for other bus drivers. And now I also work for marketing for my transit agency. So it's pretty cool to get to see multiple different aspects. And then a couple years ago, the place that I work for bought a bunch of new Gilligs. So they were getting rid of some of their older buses. So I had the opportunity to purchase two Nova RTSs. And that is when I really went from bus driving just being a job that was fun to kind of taking over my entire life. So
I don't think you're the only one. But I was surprised. I was like, oh my goodness. Do you mind sharing your age with us?
I'm
Yeah.
25.
25. Okay. Maddie's 25 and she is in this thing. So, welcome, Maddie. All right, brother Darren's, man, tell us a little bit about yourself and what all you do, bro.
yes, sir. Good evening. Thank you for having me on your platform. I have been in bus transportation now for 20 years. It was 20 years on August the 3rd. Started off driving buses from Memphis, Tennessee, where I was born and raised. Started driving school buses for Laidlaw. Worked at the Memphis airport overnight driving shuttle buses until I was given the opportunity to drive for Coach USA when they were in Memphis. I worked at Coach USA for about 3 years until they decided to close. Floated around from a few companies like Hertz Rental Car, All Points USA, Klein Tours, Memphis Area Transit Authority is where I got my start as a transit operator. I worked at the Memphis Area Transit Authority from 2010 until 2015. Moved out of Memphis, drove in Ann Arbor, Michigan for AAATA, Smart up in Troy, Michigan, a few charter companies, limousine companies, and now I own my own company, Optimum Transportation Group, DBA Denali Travel USA. And I am a lifelong bus fan and operator.
Cool beans, man. All right, let's see. Jess, how's the volume now? Jess asked for the volume to be turned up. So we've turned it up a little bit. Let us
Jess
know.
works with me. Hi, Jess.
Oh, all right,
She's another
Jess.
student driver at our
Okay.
university.
Hopefully you could hear a little bit better now, Jess. We got some folks in the house. I don't know who Blue Nine and Multimedia, but Slick Flare, welcome, my brother or sister. I don't know. So we're glad you're here tonight.
No
Um,
brother flat.
oh, is this your friend, Darren?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, so hey, here's a question. When did you guys come to love transit? I guess before we answer that, I'll let me introduce myself. Some folks may want to know about me. So I'm Michael, and I was born in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and I've always loved the RTS bus. We had the 40 footers back in the day, and there was a bus driver that took me to school, the bus route 23, and they were the 81 models. And man, I just love the noise that it made, and you know about those older RTS buses. And so he taught me everything about a bus, showed me all the controls, showed me how to start them. And I was really shocked that that there are no keys. Sorry if that's going out, but it's like, really. And just sparked my interest. And after graduating high school, went to work for Metro Transit in Oklahoma City, and did that for a while, and while I was in college as well. And so I've always just been a bus fan. Right now, I do not work in a transit agency, but I work for Lone Star Coaches, driving motor coaches every once, probably 2 times a month. I do have a full time job, but I got into doing buying buses as well, and I really didn't know what I was doing. The first bus I bought, I don't know about you guys, but I bought a bus and I paid, I'm going to just tell you, I paid $7,500 for this bus. And it came from Houston. And if you know Houston, you really don't know what you're getting. so, I brought this bus back to Dallas, and man, it ran great. Everything was fine and dandy. But then I get to the my uh, garage or the lot where I was going to store it, and I'm going in to check in, and the bus breaks down. Like, it will not move, will not start, and it's blocking the entrance to their gate. And I had to end up paying a big tow truck to come out and tow this thing, and then find out it was another $6,000 worth of repairs. So yeah, I learned my lesson on my first bus. Any of you guys have maybe a story like that, of a bus maybe you got and you're like, this was a dud.
Well, my first bus has been perfect. Knock on
Yeah.
wood. Behaved so well. It's been a year and a half, a little more than a year and a half that I've had this bus. But then I bought another one, and that was less of a planned purchase, a little more impulse. And that one, it's definitely not like having any huge problems. But because it was an impulse purchase, I'm kind of thinking back, like maybe I don't need two of the exact same
Mhm.
bus. Why did I buy that one? So
I think the excitement is always like, oh yeah, let me get another one.
right. And then
That,
as soon as you see you won the auction, it's like,
yep. You're like, oh, I really didn't want to win it. What about you, Darren?
Kind of the same for me. How was the sound?
Yours has got a little crackle.
Yeah, okay. I thought it was just me.
Do
So
you
how I
want to
came to
go ahead?
purchasing my first bus. The first bus that I have is kind of a historical bus to me. I have fleet number 714, which is a 1988 TMC RTS. My RTS bus was the actual last 6V92 the last analog 6V92 that came out of the factory before they went to the DDEC, the computer engine. So that holds a very good significant value for me. And I don't know, have you all with the auctions? The auctions give you a rush.
Yes.
I swear it does. When I bought my first bus, I'm like, you know what? I'm not walking away without this bus. I absolutely have to. And so when the auction was said and done, it was at 33.50, I believe.
That's not
Went
bad.
there a few days later. And my intentions were to convert it into a party bus. And this was back in 2010. And I still have that bus to this day. My
Wow.
plans with it now is just to restore it and just keep it around because, I mean, let's face it, finding an RTS bus these days is that's like a needle in a haystack. But
Well, now, if you're in,
RTS, the RTS bus is my favorite bus, and I'm kind of torn between the 88 and the 79 Slantback
mm,
with the 8V71. I'm a Detroit man. Matter of
wow.
fact, my favorite cologne is Detroit Smoke. That's just how much I love it. That's just how much I love it. But the
You
second
talk
bus
about the
I purchased,
the the rush on those auctions, and it's like I'm determined, and you're like, okay, I'm a bid one more time, and
Hmm.
then I'm not gonna do it again, and then you're like, oh, so what? Then you bid again, it's almost like, I hate to say it, an addiction, but yeah, I mean, it's not a bad way, but
yeah,
sometimes you get lucky and get a bus for cheap. Then there's some, you
yes,
wonder, why did I pay that much? So bringing this group together, I thought, man, what if we just got together and did a run on the government? Why are we bidding against each other? I mean, maybe we can just say, hey, you want that bus? Go get that bus, instead of us paying out of the wazoo, monies back to them when we don't have to. We're just going against each other. And then some of
right,
some of us, I hate Darren and I were talking about this maybe a week or two ago. Uh, there are people just buying them just to buy them and then let them sit and rot,
Hmm.
and which is kind of annoying, and just like, why did you do that? And Maddie, you've actually, some photos I've seen of you. You drive around and, man, you see these buses
Yeah.
just sitting on the side of the road, and Maddie will go and take a picture with them. We'll get on the bus and do whatever she can, but then you just wonder, well, what happened?
Right. That one I found last week was in pretty good condition.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they might be using it. I don't know. It was like 10 p.m., so I was not about to try to find the owner, but it was really right off the highway.
Wow.
I just stopped, took a picture, and kept driving. But
Um,
you talk about old buses. Now I deliver buses too for Gillick, New Flyer, Alexander Dennis, Nova, and Prevost. I deliver for the major manufacturers. And me and a friend of mine were going through, I think, Kansas or Colorado. And we stopped at a truck stop, and there was like an old 50s model GMC that was sitting there. So we thought maybe they just pulled over for the night. Went inside
mhm.
and asked about it. It was like, no, this bus has been here for about a year. And we keep calling the guy and asking him to come get it, but he hasn't come to get it yet. I'm like, I've had buses to break down before, and maybe after a day, the cops were threatening to tow it. But this bus has been sitting up for over a year, and I took pictures. Maybe later on, when this is over with, I'm going to post those pictures, and it's just it amazes me that that bus has been sitting so long, and it looked like
Wow.
it's in good shape, but for whatever reason, it broke down, and it's been sitting at a TA truck stop in Colorado since last year.
Wow. And Maddie's Facebook group, if you're not a part of it, what's the name of it, Maddie?
RTS bus owners.
RTS Bus Owners, if you own one. I'm in the group because I
Oh,
used to own one. uh, but there are several RTS buses up for sale. Some folks wanting to get rid of theirs, and so I'm I'm looking for one, but I've got my eye on one, but it's pretty far away. What's his name? Darren?
Scar.
Scott, yeah.
Scott,
Uh, I
road
told him,
trip.
yeah, I know, road trip. I told him, I said, Scott, I want that 2308. I mean, it's an 80, 81 or something like that. He told me, and so, but yeah, it's a really nice one. So I don't know what he'll do, but he's got to get rid of a couple of buses. So,
Scott Richards got me my first commercial. My first commercial shoot with I had an Orange County bus, RTS bus, 3134. I used to own that bus, and that bus is up on the East Coast now. He got me my first commercial. It was a Mountain Dew commercial
mm-hmm.
in Dallas, Texas, back in
Wow,
2015. So I'm forever in Scott Richards' debt for hooking me up with that commercial.
wow, wow. Capital Rails and Transit Film says hello, everyone. Uh, Anybody know Capital Rails? I don't know who they are, so but thanks for
Capital
being here
Rail.
tonight. And Ron Stevens it was actually in the room. Ron actually did like a major overhaul to his bus. Painted and redid the
Yeah.
inside. I mean, it looks good. And so I've been keeping up with you, Ron, on what you've been doing with your bus. Okay, here's something I've wanted to know, Maddie. How did what? Unless Ron did this, who came up or got figured out the system to program the all the special wording on the front?
It
How
was
can
Ron.
you mind sharing a little bit of that? Okay, because
So
I thought,
it's
wow, somebody actually did it.
There's two ways to do it for the luminators that we had in our 2002 Nova RTSs. There's a MTU memory transfer unit, and Ron let me borrow his, which was really great. It's pretty big. It's about the size of a briefcase, and it's just this old yellow, just literally just a box. And I brought it as a carry-on when we were flying home from the New Jersey Bus Festival last year, and you plug that into a laptop and then plug the laptop into the ODK input,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to use a Illuminator software. And that's, I think, the older way. The way that my work did it, they just had a big memory card. It was about that big, and they could plug it straight into the ODK, but I haven't bought the supplies for that yet. So Ron got the original way, which is the big MTU. But once you figure out how to use the software, you can basically type whatever you want. I'm not very good at it yet. There's
Right.
some great people out there who can do like drawings and pixel art and all this stuff.
Wow.
For now, I'm just typing words.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, "Oh man, I wish I would have known
That was all
done
Ron. He
that."
taught me how to do
Right.
that. So shout out to Ron.
Well, the bus I have right now, it's an Orion bus, but it doesn't have any signs. It was owned by the
Yeah.
sheriff, so I've got to take all the iron bar out, and I'm going to go take it to the metal yard, and um, the airbags on one side have gone out, so I've got to fix the
Mm.
airbags. I was able to make it back to Dallas, but I think as soon as I got back, I mean,
Were you tilted?
no, I wasn't tilted. It'll stay up, but as soon as I press the brakes, I'm losing
Mm.
air, and it's like, shh. I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't.
It's a little stressful.
So it's sitting right now until I figure out what I want to do, but that's bus life, But I did pretty well on this one. This is the first auction I paid $725 for this bus,
Oh
and so I
wow.
was like,
700,
and yes, the wheels are like
and it drove
great
away.
new, and it drove away. Yeah, drove away.
But that cost you to do it.
Yeah, so it's just I'm not gonna have to. I think it's the front airbag, and so once I figure it out, but I need to get those metal bars out. I think it's because there's so many of those gel bars in there that the weight of the bus is just like, oh, I mean, I just
Mm.
wondered if that had an effect on it. So, all right. So here's another question I wanted to ask y'all. How many buses you have? Just tell us how many buses you have. I think Maddie, I know you have two.
Mhm.
But this man here on my right has. Tell us, brother, how many buses do you have?
Just got to think about it.
I know.
One day I'll reach that point where I have to sit and
Yep.
count. Not today, though.
And while you're
88
thinking,
RT,
go ahead.
a 91 RTS, a 91 flexible, a 2004 New Flyer Articulated, a 2010 MCI D4505, and I think and a 1996 X Long Beach Transit New Flyer.
Wow.
So that's all for right now. Maybe something might change.
Yeah.
Maybe Monday. I'm working on something. So hopefully, let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yep.
All
Hey,
right.
Is this bus in an auction?
I'm in the market for.
Is this bus in an auction?
No, it's actually at MCI. I have my eyes on a up-to-date coach 2017 MCI D45, not D45.
J.
D45 is my coach. The J4500 is
Yeah.
black. So I'm in the market for that, but hopefully we'll find out sometime next week if I can get my hands on it.
So uh, there's a bus right down the street from me. I believe it's the 45, but it has the newer back end and the newer headlights on MCI. They want $19,000 for it. It's been on Facebook Marketplace for the longest time. Some of y'all are like really overpricing your buses. That's why they're sitting. People are just not going to pay 25,000 for these old buses. I mean, just to be honest, I got another guy here in Dallas that has a Gillig. Sorry if I'm putting you on the spot. I don't know if you're on here, but I called him out. I was like, "You want $8,000 for that thing?" I'm just like, I'm, and it's not even all. I don't know. I'll keep my mouth shut, but I try to tell him price it to sell. I mean, get it if you don't want to hold on to it. I mean, and then miss out on the sale. So anyway, and then there's a couple of A&M buses that are on Facebook Marketplace. I almost sent you the link. I
They pop
believe
up all the time. The last
yeah.
one, my friend Nicholas sent me the link to 101, I think.
Yep, 101. And I guess the big one, the 40-foot one, I really wanted from you guys, but the guy,
1124.
yeah, I think paid like $11,000, and
Yeah.
so, but I think he finally sold it, but I don't know what he sold it for.
Really?
So
The one that was
I
on
don't know.
Facebook for you?
Yeah,
Huh.
it was posted in Houston and posted like down by you guys. So
Unless it's the bus from Speed, I'm not spending that type of money on a bus.
right. I saw what you offered for someone else on RTS group. Hey, I'll give you this for that. So yeah, I mean, who knows? But okay. So another one I had was, let's see, Darren. So you currently, I kind of want to know what you're doing. Is this your own business that you that you're doing with your buses, and then you have the another job that transports buses? Am I correct? I don't know how.
Yeah, so
Let me
my
pull up
company,
here.
Denali Travel USA, is a charter bus company. And whenever I don't have any charters, I go out and deliver buses. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. I get to go and drive a transit bus when I want to, and when I'm finished doing that, which I just delivered Nova Bus. I delivered 2 Nova buses down to Academy in Winter Garden, Florida, this past week. So
Mm-hmm.
now I got to get ready to fulfill my business requirements and travel up to Boston for a rail shutdown for 30 plus days.
Oh wow,
So,
wow.
uh, I
Let's
didn't think
see.
I didn't wanted to buy buses, man. I drive a bus just to go to the grocery store. That's
I did that
just me.
like
I,
2 weeks ago.
I I've got a photo
Some
of.
people like, hey, and
Let me find
the
it.
best thing that I think that has come out of this social media technology is our community of people that love buses that don't think it's weird. I
Uh
look
huh.
at what we do as the equivalent of a car club, a Corvette club, a classic car club. We just love buses. That's just all to it. And I'm glad that now it's starting to become popular. And I really wish that down south where we are, it was more popular, like
Yes.
the West Coast people or the East Coast people. And
Right.
hopefully this will be the beginning of something great that we can start and maybe have events and get people together, man. Because I'm gonna tell you something, buses is all I know. It's all I've ever wanted to do. I mean, I used to hear stories from my mom and my uncle from when I was a kid saying that, hey, I used to make them sit in a room and pretend like I was driving a bus and made them ride. That's my love for buses go back to when I was a kid. And a lot of people tell me that I'm one of a few people that have actually had a dream as a kid of doing something and actually grew up to do it. So I find my career, 20 years in the transportation industry, I find it to be a blessing, man, because I can't picture myself doing anything else but driving. And now I'm an owner, so that takes another aspect to a whole nother level for me.
So we got to. How about using a bus to help people move? I think I saw somebody doing that a week or so ago. Tell us about that.
Mabel is another one of my friends and coworkers. So my friends had a week gap in their lease. So they had nowhere to store their stuff, and we live in a college town, so all the storage units were booked, months ago. So I had, pretty big bus, and I wasn't doing anything with it, so I just drove my bus to their apartment, loaded it full of all their stuff, everything fit, and there's room for more even. And I just held their stuff in there a week, and then when they got the keys to their new place, just drove the bus right up to their front door and just unloaded everything off the back. So that picture that you showed was after we
Oh,
moved them in, got all the stuff. I went to get some fuel at HEB, Texas grocery store, and got some food too. So that's
I'm
what that
sure
was from.
people in your
Wow.
town probably wonder why is that bus here? This
I
bus
have
is
a
out of.
marquee code or destination sign. For some reason, my people at my work call it marquee, but apparently destination sign is like the industry standard.
Yeah.
Um, I have one that just says like follow on TikTok, and then it has my TikTok handle, which is at Smarter Charter. And I've had where if I was driving around that day for a little while, I'll open TikTok later and I'll see that I've gotten like 5 new followers. And then I have people that are like, "Oh, I saw your bus driving downtown." Like it's a pretty small town, so
Hmm.
I usually end up seeing like a coworker or someone I know text me later. It's like, "I saw you on this street today." So
So now that
I
you're
don't feel bad now.
yeah, now that you're married, and so does your husband see you still doing the bus thing? Like, oh, let's go get this bus. Now, I don't know if you want to share about your husband. Does y'all work at the same place, right?
we used to.
Used to.
We
Okay.
met actually because it was in 2017. He taught me how to fuel a bus because where we work, it's a little bit, there's like a certain procedure for how you fuel it. It's a little bit different than like fueling a car. And so the very first day we met, like, he taught me how to fuel a bus, which is, just super romantic. But he used to work with me for about 3 years, and then we started dating. And he does something else now, but he did
Okay.
work for the diesel shop for several summers as well. So he learned how to do all the preventative maintenance on the exact buses that I now own. So
Hmm.
that's really helpful.
Yeah, that's cool, Darren's. Now, when you first got into it, I don't know if you're married or not, but did your spouse question
Not
you
anymore.
any?
Not anymore.
Okay, I mean, no, not anymore, not married. Okay, but did you ever just get questioned? Why you need that bus? What are you gonna go buy that bus for? You know?
Or why you got to park the bus in the driveway because it's mine?
I wish I could do that, but my HOA would kick my ass. So.
Oh,
My neighbors, my former neighbors, they loved me when it came down to seeing the bus. They were like, "Man, we haven't saw a bus like that in years," and that was the bus that I was using. I mean, for my local services here in Memphis, man. It was. Hey, I had some cool neighbors.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. My wife, she actually she's fine with what I do. She just, I guess, as long as there's money still coming into the bank account, that's all that
Yeah,
matters. So,
yeah, and once as long as you don't choose a bus over a bill,
yes.
you will forever stay married.
Now let's talk about that, Darren's. Darren, you may know some folks. I think if some of you people that have buses, do y'all take loans out when y'all go and buy these buses at auctions? I'm just curious. Like, are, do people? I mean, uh, I guess you said you know someone that went and got a payday loan just
Yeah,
just to get the bus,
yeah,
and it's
man.
like, come on.
You overpay for the bus anyway. Like I knew
Yep.
one guy got a payday loan and he paid like 11 grand for a Gillick Phantom, a 30-foot Gillick Phantom at that.
Ooh, yeah.
And I don't understand the logic in that. Is if you have the money to do it, fine, but man, don't put yourself in a poorhouse because of a bus, because you can end up
Right.
sleeping in it intentionally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'll be your new
that's
home.
look, man. Sometimes I've had to sleep in buses because I've gotten to a place where the bus broke down. That's different, but having to sleep in a bus because I can't pay my bills, that's an
Mhm.
irresponsible move, man, that I'll never make. So
Wow.
it, look, it takes a lot of patience to be a owner, and
Hmm.
it's not always going to be great days. Like now, I'm going through some mechanical stuff with the Arctic, and
Hmm.
I hate this because I'm I'm basically trying to fix things myself. It's hard to find a mechanic in certain areas, and I'm in central. The bus is in central Louisiana, and it's hard to find a good mechanic. And I really just the pains of dealing with that. It's just sometimes it's like I want to just throw the bus away, but then this is what I signed up for.
Yeah.
This is what I signed up for. I asked God to bless me to be in a position to own my own company, to own my own business, and this is just some of the growing pains. So one thing, my philosophy is, I can't expect anybody else to believe in me if I don't believe in myself. So that is what keeps me going.
That's good. That's good. When did y'all ever get it? Have a liking for buses when y'all were kids, or I mean, Maddie, you're still a kid almost, but no, I'll quit saying that.
He's a
Maddie is an
baby.
adult. She's 25 years old now.
Well,
uh, did y'all have like it, seeing them when you were young? Did it attract your? Did you get attracted to them by any chance? Just to like, oh wow, this is just cool.
I didn't ride. Well, I'm from Corpus Christi originally, and I didn't ride the city buses at all. My parents didn't, but I did ride the school bus to school, and it wasn't like the same level of how I get excited about them now. But I did enjoy riding the bus, and I preferred doing that over riding in the car with my parents. I don't know if it was just because of the independence, but I always loved the bus ride, and I was usually sad when we actually got to school. I could have sat there a lot longer.
Okay, so when I was a kid, uh, I would get three pair of shoes. Okay, this how do you say her name? Mabel,
Maybe.
Mabel. So I would get these three tennis shoes or whatever, church shoes or whatever I had, and I would turn them over. Do y'all get where I'm going? Darren, did you get where I'm going? Okay. Then I would go to the bathroom and I would get the plunger. You get where I'm going, Darren?
shifting gears.
Shifting gears
Yeah.
with three shoes on the floor
Mm.
and pretending in first gear, you know. And my
Hey,
parent, mom, they just thought I was crazy. And I was crazy. Now, some people may know this about me. So I have an artificial leg, and I don't have my right leg below the knee. And I'm still able to drive a bus and still able to even do the manual shifts. You know, I had to go through a special testing, and you could do it. I mean, people out there that are handicapped. I mean, you could make it happen. You know, and I was always determined that nobody was going to shut me down, and so
all
uh,
right.
it's just the way it is. Shifting gears with a plunger. That's great. Yeah.
That's the kind of determination I had. I had an
Yeah.
old Ford steering wheel, and I don't know where the steering wheel came from. we lived in a housing project in Memphis called Dixie Homes that they tore down in the 90s. I had a desk. I sat on the bed. I had the Ford steering wheel on the desk. And you ever make bus noises until your throat hurts?
Yeah.
That's how I was. And me, I'm so much of a bus fan. The old school buses, with the Allisons,
Mm-hmm.
it would irritate me when I would ride a bus and that driver didn't hit third gear. I used to be upset about that. Seriously upset about that. Oh, my uncle was the biggest victim though. One of my uncles was the biggest victim. Because every time he came in the house, I made him sit down. I told him we finna go riding.
Mm.
And in my mind, I'm just driving the bus on the route. I used to sit out front on the lawn. I knew what time a bus came 7 days a week. If it was early, I knew. If it was late, I knew. And this was like when I was 5.
Yeah.
So I've always been into buses, schedules, everything. Everything about buses, man, is just it started off as a childhood love and hobby, and it's transformed into something that's greater, just beyond my wildest imagination.
Ron Stevens says I used to make bus fleets out of my Legos. So I used to do
I
something
did
too.
that too.
See?
And when I wanted to get creative, I would do like the red at the bottom. Okay, I'm gonna send you a picture. There was buses we had in Memphis that promoted a minor league football team called the Memphis Showboats. The bus was originally a 1964, I think 5303 or 5304. They sent the buses either to Kentucky or California and converted them to make them look like a boat.
Mm.
So there was an upper level in the back where you could go sit. And when I tell you these buses, I love. There's one in Memphis, and I'm really trying to stop this guy from butchering it. That's another thing, people.
Mm.
Go butcher a school bus. These transit buses that we have that are old school, we can't replace them. Stop butchering them. This guy's trying to turn it into a mobile kitchen, and I'm trying. I'm even willing to give him a bus to do that with because I don't want to see him butcher it. But I used to get the Legos and make the first level red, second level black, and the third level blue. So the Legos, oh yeah, that was my thing to do. And the Hot Wheels, did
Oh yeah.
anybody have the RTS school bus Hot Wheel? That should be a collector's item right now.
It should. I had two of them, and uh, I don't know where they are now. So one thing I did, I love the RTS buses so much, so I like drew the bus like on paper, of course, and colored it. And I went to like a Kinko's, and I like made like a copy, like 10 pages, like so I could have my imaginary 30 buses of fleet, and name the buses 8102, 8103, and as a kid, I would pretend I'm playing on the floor with them and bringing them into the terminal and all that. I did. I mean, I was just, and, and then my brother, I think, threw them away, and I was really upset with my older brother. But the
Yeah,
things we
I
do.
used to use the wooden floors as my turn lanes.
Oh, somebody says they have the Hot Wheels. I have 10 of those Hot Wheels now. Yeah,
Oh
they're
wow,
probably worth a little bit of money. So,
yeah.
oh, I love this lady is cracking me up. I love her. She's like, y'all sound like you had fun in your childhood. Yes, you know, I mean, I grew up. We were poor growing up, and so I mean, anything I could do just to do, is just what I did. So we got another person that says, let me pull. I started. Once I get this, I started driving school buses when I was a senior in high school after football season. When I moved to California after college, I drove MCI 5 and 5A buses for my church. My most exciting trip was taking a group of senior adults into San Francisco for a bay cruise, shifting gears up and down those hills. Oh yeah, it was a real challenge. So
Mm.
yeah, I haven't really done any mountain driving and I don't think I want to do that with shifting. I'm glad. I mean, I'm hating that the shifting, the manuals going away. Uh, but
Yeah, I've
you
never
know,
driven one. So.
yeah, it's a whole different. I mean, are you still seeing some, Darren? I mean, Darren. Sorry, I said
I know
Darren.
I know a couple of companies in the Midwest that still have I think 96 MCIs that are still sticks.
Hmm.
And they're still running them on charters. Very
Wow.
few of those buses are left now.
Wow. Wow. So one thing I'm still trying to understand with some of the agencies is, you know, I don't get why they let the buses sit for like a year and then put them on auction. Like there's a bus that I want in Oklahoma City, and it's just sitting there. I called up there. They're like, "Yeah, we're just waiting to put it on the GovDeals website." I'm just like, it's just sitting there, and it's like, and this is a good one, and you know that was their last one they kept, you know, just as a spare bus, and I'm just like, let me have it, you know. I'm just, and I don't know why they let them sit for a while before they let them go. I,
You know, everything in the government takes forever.
yeah,
All the paperwork and all that.
and but
Yeah.
then it just leaves, you know, for wires to get chewed up, everything, you know, that could be,
Right.
you know, I don't
Open
know,
to the elements.
open to the
But
elements.
a
I
big
drove
part
by
of
that.
that,
Go ahead.
a big part of that is reliability in these brand new buses. And a lot of people don't like to talk about it, but now we're in an era where technology has taken over a lot of industries and products are not built as durable as they used to be. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we're seeing factories having to shut down for weeks at a time for something we think is simple, like
Right.
waiting on tires
Mm-hmm.
or waiting on engine parts. So it's some of these buses when they get delivered, they're not in they're not in good shape
Right. Yeah.
for whatever reason. It's not necessarily people have their favorite buses that they drive. Some might have an argument, well, Gillig is better, New Flyer is better. But what people fail to realize is that these buses have the same engines in them.
Mm, yeah.
They have the same engines in them. Everything is basically Cummins. So some of the components, it's not the engines themselves, it's some of the components. We don't know if they're made here or they're made overseas in another country and they're shipped over, but the quality in some of these parts are just not what they need to be. And so these
Right.
transit agencies and charter companies, they're holding on to older equipment because the older equipment is more reliable than the new equipment.
Mm,
And that's why I'm trying not to make that change and get something newer, but have to
right.
follow my customer base, and customer base they want newer equipment, but it can be argued that the MCID model is the workhorse. Like the GMC Fishbowl was the workhorse for transit agencies for decades.
Mm,
And I think the last transit agency that used the GMC fish bowls were Altoona, Pennsylvania, I believe.
mm-hmm.
And I believe they retired the rest of theirs in, I think, 2019, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm,
But if you're wondering why you see what you would think be a perfectly good bus that's sitting and rotten
right.
and not being used, it's the politics
Mm,
of what we have coming out of factories now.
right. I'm gonna put this comment back up from Transport Josh. I did this when I was a kid. I
Mr. Thurman.
literally, so I used to make up routes around my neighborhood when I was a kid and drive the routes on my bike. I had time points at all, man. I had my watch and I had a piece of paper to make sure I get to this house at by this time, and then I would come back the same way and make sure I get back on time. I'm telling you, I was just crazy as a boy. We got about,
Josh,
you know,
since
Josh.
Josh is sharing stories, he needs to share stories about that cutlass that he
Oh,
had. Josh Thurman has a 72 flexible, I think it is, from TriMet.
mm-hmm.
I drove that bus. That bus has a 8V71 in it. And I tell you, man, that brought back so many memories. But you talk about a bus fan, Josh is a King County Metro operator. And he is just like us. Everything that we said we did as kids, he did the same thing, but he took it a step further. Josh is the only person that I know that bought a bus to take his CDL license, to get his CDL license. He's the
Hmm.
only person that I know that has ever done that,
Wow. Wow.
and still owns the bus to this day. But that Cutlass,
Wow.
you have to see pictures of that Cutlass to understand what I'm talking about.
Interesting. So that there was a comment about I agree, had problems with our buses in Dallas. I don't know why, but I think Dallas has the ugliest buses ever. Like, it's just the new flyer, or they're not new flyer. I can't even remember what they're called, but I just hate them.
Nabbies.
Nabbies. Those, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
y'all, but those are the most ugliest buses ever, and I'm just like, I'm not even thrilled to go ride a bus here in Dallas, to be honest. So they have some new
So if you
flyers.
could go ride a bus anywhere, what would it be?
Um, I love going back to Oklahoma City. Um, but I won't ride a bus because their system. I hate to say this, they're still working on the system. I mean, it takes you forever to get across town. Um, but
Mm.
when I was in New York City, I loved riding on the RTS when I was up there. So yeah, I mean, I would say Houston. I like their diversity in buses, though. Houston has like everything, and so let me throw some more comments up. People are like commenting like crazy now. We actually are really picking up on numbers. So I was going to shut down in 10 minutes. So here's a comment. Somebody says, I remember throwing away all of my other toy buses because my mother wouldn't get me a Long Island bus. Orion 5.
How dare you?
Oh, man. And then we got another one here. Johnny Martinez, San Antonio bus and enthusiast, South Texas bus preservationist. Glad y'all are on doing this. Hopefully, first of many. Yeah, thank you. We got another comment
I
from
just
Ron.
delivered a
Go ahead.
bus in San Antonio.
I like San
One of the
Antonio's fleet. They got. I do like once they put some new flyers up for on the auction. I may try to pick up one. So when I first got into it, I wanted to make money. So I would sell the buses because Maddie would always say, "So what are you going to do with the bus?" I'm just like, "No, I think I'm going to sell it." and
I was
everybody
so
else is
sad with 113. It
well.
broke my heart.
Well, once I just hated the rear. It was
Just
zip
wasn't right.
tied. I was like, I don't want to keep a zip tied bumper up. I mean, the bus
Yeah.
ran great though. It was really I actually enjoyed it. But I always said I want a 40-footer. That was so that was actually my second bus I ever bought. So I put up Ron's comment. Ron said I bought my bus and then got my passenger endorsement. Oh, so that's interesting.
Yeah, that was the
Tell us why
old
you
way.
got your passenger endorsement because you just got this bus. I mean, I I think if you have just your family, you don't have to have a
He
passenger
already
endorsement,
had
right?
his Class A, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Um, so then he didn't. Yeah, I guess if it's a personal vehicle, I think you
Right.
don't have to do that. But I think he just wanted to.
Ah.
Covers all
Uh,
bases just in case.
mm-hmm. Uh, I had a 78 Oldsmobile that had an illuminator sign in the back window and the ODK installed in the dash.
Yep.
Wow. Wow. It's amazing.
I
Hey,
don't
so
have these
go.
old childhood stories like y'all do because like I said, I liked riding the school bus when I was little, but I didn't really get into buses until I started driving them.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually kind of funny because me being a bus driver was kind of just by chance because I was looking for a job the end of my second year of college. And this sounds so dumb now, but I really wanted to work at Starbucks.
Oh.
And there's this one
I
Starbucks that I
understand
wanted
why.
to. They did not. They like that. They were understaffed. The manager kept like I would go in. I said, "Hey, did you get my application?" The manager's like, "Yeah, I'll schedule an interview. I'll reach out to you." And she never ever did. And then finally, I was like, "I need a job." It's been like 2 months. They haven't called me back. And so I rode the buses on campus to class, and they had the internal ads, and they said like be a bus driver, and I was like, well, okay. And then I was a little intimidated because I had never driven anything near that big before, so I kind of put it off for a little while. And then one day I saw a girl driving that looked similar to me, and so I just walked up to her and I said, "Hey, is this hard?" She's like, "No, it's not hard at all." So I submitted my application, and they emailed me back within like 1 hour because they're always so understaffed. And so
Wow.
it was just, if Starbucks had hired me, I would not have been a bus driver or a bus owner or any of it. So it's
Wow.
just, I guess, is what was meant to happen. So
Wow. Hey,
Well, at least you would
here's
have
a
had
question. Go ahead.
strawberry refreshments to drink constantly.
What do y'all think about the electric buses? I haven't driven one. That's the one thing I hate that I'm missing being in the transit world. Is the new seeing that new equipment come about. I mean, back then it was like, man, your bus broke down every day. I mean, you just drove that RTS till that engine failure light came on, and they brought you another bus. But now, I mean, they've got all these nice buses. I'm just like, wow, I'm missing out on this. But just curious, what's your take on them?
I've
Mm.
only driven the Proterra, and it's not bad. My biggest complaint actually about the ones at work is simply that for some reason the right mirror like is just not, you can't really see much out of it. If the mirror
Mm,
was like the ones we had on our normal buses, it'd be totally fine. But as far as driving, once you get used to I mean, I've never driven an electric car, but I think it's the same. The regenerative braking, where you don't have to hit the brake to stop. Once you get used to that, it's not that different.
right. What about
It's
your take,
quiet.
Darren?
That's weird.
Yeah, very
Well,
quiet, huh?
I had a demo, a Gillick, that I demoed for the Department of Defense in Washington a few months ago, and I was shocked. I was shocked at the acceleration of those buses. You ever been driving and you're trying to get over and change a lane and people don't want to let you over? Oh, with that electric bus, I didn't have that issue. I
Mm.
was outrunning cars, literally.
Mm.
Now, I think the technology is definitely improving, and I had the chance to drive the Proterra, the Gillick, and the New Flyer in one day,
Wow.
and I have to say what I don't like about the Proterra, and maybe it's probably the way they respect. I don't know. I don't like the turn radius. I
Mm.
love a bus where if you need to make a short turn, you have that extra pull in the steering wheel. But that's the only thing that I did not like about, and probably the area past the driver's area. That's to
Mm.
me, that's like wasted space right there. That's more of, to me, more of a blind spot in certain areas too.
Mm-hmm.
The new Flyers, to me, they drove pretty good, but the Gillick, I was really surprised about the performance. Now,
Mm.
the pros and cons of, I guess, diesel, CNG versus electric. I really would like to see more the technology get to a point where you don't have to bring a bus in off route just to charge, and gain a longer distance, and if they could charge themselves basically. And I think that maybe that technology, we might have that technology in the next 5 or 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
You got somebody that
um,
agrees with you on that turning radius.
the
Yeah.
turning radius on the Proterra is just, uh,
Yeah,
it's
We
beating
went
them up
just
on the
from
curb.
a majority Nova RTS fleet to a majority Gillig low floor fleet, and I felt like going from that jump was losing some turn radius. And then when we go to the Proterras, it's losing even more. So
Wow.
yeah.
mm,
Okay, we got a
one
couple more minutes. Go ahead.
one bus that I just absolutely cannot stand is the BYD.
Which one?
Oh, I've never even seen one of
BYD,
those. And
the the BYD is just,
not like
when
California.
when they introduced those buses, LA Metro tested some, and I mean they barely got off the lot and they were breaking down. And I'm not gonna say which city this happened in, but somebody was doing a demo on one of those buses and it broke down in their garage, and it is what it is.
Wow. Somebody asked, what's the cheapest y'all have been able to purchase a bus for? I'll just put this up. I got lucky. Got one for $19.44. What kind of bus did you get for $19.44?
Yeah, Zach, I was gonna say I heard his story. He posted on TikTok about it.
Man, well, there was
Mm.
another guy that wanted RTS or something for $5 too, or something.
I think I
Oh wait,
saw that on Facebook last year.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and I was like, how? Like,
Yeah,
where? I'm just. Um, Zach,
believe
you'll
it or
have to
not.
come on and tell us your story. Do you still
Yeah,
have the
that
bus? Zach
I
replies, he
think
that
he's
says.
art,
selling. It was one of the
the
Oh,
ones
art.
he
for
said,
sale on the Facebook group.
is it what is?
Go
What
ahead.
kind of
Maybe you're
bus is it?
talking to a big ad for all the buses for sale.
I know, right?
Mm.
Is it that RTS bus? That's the gray one that Zach
The
has?
1984, yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, I saw that one. All right, Zach. Well, I'll give you $50 for
Hey,
it.
make my coffee.
You want to
He
go
said,
half on it? I got $25 in
"Go
my
half
pocket.
on
You
it,
know.
right?" Josh says a 84 GMC RTS 2. I drove it out of the auction lot. Yeah, I remember seeing your post. I thought that was really cool. Uh,
Yeah.
oh yeah, here's my good friend of mine, Zelmo Brooks. If you do bus models, he customizes uh, the 150 RTS scales. If y'all are ever into that. Oh, Zach says, I'll bring it up for y'all. He says, "Yes, I do. Considering selling it because yes, you got a baby on the way. That's right. I had a baby on the way when I did that last bus, and I sold my bus because the baby was coming. But now the baby's here. I think we're getting back to normal. So you may want to get another bus." So, uh, couple more
Yeah.
questions, and I know we got things to do this evening, and I've got to do a seminar tomorrow morning. Are you guys going to the event in Trenton on September 17th? I really wanted to go last year, and
Hmm.
gonna try. I'm gonna try. It's got a lot of.
I
Go ahead.
just might try to go because we're leaving Boston then, I think. Hmm.
So we went on vacation, and we went through Pennsylvania, the Hershey factory, and I'm driving down this road and I look to my right and I'm like, I've seen that building before. And and then it dawned on me after I passed. I said, that's where all the buses,
The
the
Springs
thing
Lane,
was.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I was just like, why didn't I go back and stop? I just kept driving. Well, I was driving an electric car, so I had to get to the next stop to make sure I got a charge.
Mm.
But oh, I hated that I was right there and I didn't stop and just go check it out. Made me mad. So
I went last year to the New Jersey one. I went with my brother and my husband and my best friend, who's a diesel mechanic, and we had a blast. I was invited to bring my bus. I could not afford to take my bus from Texas to New
mm-hmm.
Jersey, so the bus did not go with us. But we had a great time, and we're going to go again this year. We haven't booked tickets, so we kind of need to do that because it's only like a month out. But
Yeah, I'm
Hmm.
tempted. I'm tempted now. You know, as we get this thing going, I think it may be expected of me
it's
to
so
be there.
cool, especially like y'all were saying. There's not as much of a culture for it here in the South. So to go
Mm-hmm.
up there and see how big it is up there, I mean, it made me jealous, honestly. But it's just really cool to connect with these people, especially people that I had been talking to online in the bus community for a year prior to meet all these people face to face, and just really was like, wow, this is real. There are other people like us out there. It was really great.
Right.
Right.
I will be
Like,
there with my RTS, and then somebody says, "Bring the Orion." Hey, oh man, General Vintage Coach Works. Man, we need to get you on the show. Uh,
That bus
yes.
was there, I believe, last year. I think I remember seeing that
yeah.
one.
All right, Darren.
Yeah. If
Somebody
you
says,
go to New York, let me know. Good friend of mine, Thomas Rice, has an exceptional collection. Um, RTS buses,
"Gosh,
Orions. Um, I think there was an old flexible demo bus that never saw passenger service, called Big Blue, and I think it was a '60s model,
Mm-hmm.
flexible. Um, he has a very interesting collection. Eagle, a New Jersey Transit Eagle.
I wasn't a
He
fan of
has a,
Eagles.
and he's a New York City Transit operator. So every time I'm in New York, hey, that's who I'm hanging with.
Wow. We need to bring that culture down to the South. Maddie had a great ride to the airport last year after the event. Did you
Yes,
ride one of your buses?
Ron came and picked up my husband and I. We needed to go from Philly to the airport, and that's pretty close. I don't know how close, but fairly close to where he lives. So it was really funny to be in Philly, where I'm from Texas, to see like the bus that ran at my university picking me up across the entire country. It was really a surreal experience.
Wow.
It was
Hey,
really
once
fun.
we get information about the event, we'll post it. We'll do another live here in 2 weeks. So the goal to this, everybody, is just to talk and just to see the community of bus lovers out there and just help with information, questions about buses, things like that. Now that it's been an hour, it's like really picking up. I'm just like, we've been here
I,
for an hour, so I think I'm gonna just keep the time as it is, unless
I
Darren,
got a
one of y'all
question.
think it should change. What? Go ahead.
I got a question. Does Texas A&M still have any millenniums in service?
All but one are still in service, yes. I could talk
Hmm.
about the millenniums for a whole other hour. Those are such a interesting and slightly cursed topic.
No, look, I've been really, I really think that, and look, I'm gonna tell you, I really appreciate this platform because like we've never had a voice as far as bus fans go
Hmm.
before social media. So I think this would be a great way to bring people into our lives and let them understand, hey, buses
Right.
are just like cars. I mean, people love cars,
Exactly.
people love buses. But I
I
would
was
really
wondering, real quick, hang on there. So, uh, on that point, before you move to your next point, I was hesitant to doing this. I'm like, okay, and then I decided to let it go on my regular Facebook page. I'm a music minister, and I was like, you know what? Everybody needs to know about whoever. I mean, there are probably bus fans. There were a few on here that commented that were from my church and things like that. I didn't know he was a bus driver, but at first I was like, I don't want to. I shouldn't do this. And then the, we
mm,
need it. We need a
right.
voice. And so, go ahead, finish your statement, Darren. Sorry about that.
But, and part of that relief for me being a bus fan when I was a transit operator in Memphis, people don't realize the stress in certain areas that transit operators go through when it comes to dealing with different attitudes, dealing with public. And one thing about public transit that I feel is not touched on enough is the operator's morale. I don't think anybody for any job that you do in this country, anywhere, no one should have an anxiety about going to work. If you love to drive buses, you love what you
Okay,
do,
I'll look you up.
showing up for work and having an anxiety about your job because you're worried about what a passenger may or may not do because management is not doing their job to stand behind the operator. I think that's a great injustice in this country. That maybe later on, sometime in the future, we may have a platform about speaking out about the violence against transit operators. But having the love for buses that I have has been, it allows me to sometimes decompress. If
Yeah,
I've had a bad day where I've dealt with a passenger, I just get in the bus and just, my thing is just ride and just listen to the transmission and the engine just change gears. That's a relief point for me. And one thing that I really would like if we all could get together and let's try to have an event that's maybe somewhere, maybe Houston, maybe somewhere centrally located where people can easily get to, and let's see if people can bring out some buses and let's try to have a good time and enjoy each other's company because
definitely.
life is short, man, and we just whatever we love to do, we need to try to enjoy it as much as we can.
Well, I think, it's 9:15 and I
Mm-hmm.
would call this a success. There were
Yes, sir.
many people on, lots of comments, and I think it deserves a round two. And so, y'all, we'll see how, I don't know who we're going to bring on next, but maybe y'all or something again. Or we got a couple of folks that said, bring me on. I'll talk about this and that. And then we'll just continue this thing and just let it grow and build. Right now, there's 23 people just that have been steadily on. So, and it's gone up and down. So get the word out and we'll make this something. So I think the next show we'll do will be in 2 weeks from now. And you'll see a graphic on all the social media pages, on the time and things like that. And so thank you all. Thank you, Madeline and Darren's for doing this with me, because I wanted to make sure I got some people that a lot of people know. And so you guys are very instrumental in this industry and everything that you do. So I wanted to say thank you to you two. And y'all have any last words before we go?
Southern Bus
Sure.
version.
Go ahead, Madeline.
I was just gonna say follow Smarter Charter. That's where I post
Yes.
stuff about my buses. Instagram, TikTok. I'm starting a YouTube channel here soon, so the YouTube channel's up. There's no videos yet, but
Yes. And I did have photos of these guys, but the conversations just kept going, and you can find them. Y'all know they're on Facebook. Great people to get to know. And so, all right. Until then, we will see you next time on Let's Talk Transit. Y'all have a good evening, good night, good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. See y'all later.
Thank you for
bye.
having me.
Bye bye.
Thank you.